Hey, welcome back to Myth Leather Co. In the making of our TORA bag, this is the second video of, I'm not sure how many to be honest with you, but I'm doing a little voiceover to, as a kind of an intro, and to apologize in advance for all the crazy noises in the background. The city's building a new civic center next door, and pretty much don't have any control over the noise, so the video is a little gritty as far as the audio goes, but I hope you enjoyed the video. If you get anything out of this, please post a comment below, hit the thumbs up button, and by all means, please subscribe to our channel. Enjoy. The way this bag is joined is going to be with French seams in the front, in the back, and the center. So on the side seams, it's not going to have any, on the side of the bag rather, it's not going to have any seams. So the seams will be on the front portion of the bag and the rear portion of the bag. And so what we're going to do is we're going to add straps to the sides, and we're going to do that while the panel is flat first. And then at the same time, we will add the side pockets. So just to give a kind of a quick visual of how this is going to work. Add the liner piece to this. We'll fold over the top stitch it, and then I don't know if you can pick it up on camera, but this pocket needs to have be a little bit preformed at the top, so it'll basically stand up about like that, so that the center line of the strap will be where the edges of this pocket lay. Because if you don't preform it a little bit, by the time this gets wrapped around the base, this would be really tight and there would be no way to get anything in it. So we want it to be a little bit formed out like this. So once the bag gets formed around that round base, you'll still have a little gap at the top so you can put items in there, glasses or phones or whatever the person may want to have. So I've got a little notch at the bottom of this panel. I apologize for all the noise outside. I'm just going to have to deal with it. Make this video a little gritty. They're building a civic center next door, and the iron workers are going bananas. So I've added a little notch to this and a notch to the bottom. And that'll give me the placement to where the pocket piece needs to go. But before I do any of that, I'll need to take these two pocket pieces and add the liner to the back. And the liner that Shelby has chosen is this black with this kind of antique brass metallic raised fabric. It's kind of neat, but it'll look really cool once it's all done on the interior and such. So let's take this over to the sewing machine and stitch these up. So for the next several minutes, you'll see a lot of fiddling around with trying to figure out exactly how I'm going to lay out this pocket piece and these straps at the same time. This larger version with the side pockets is the first time that we've built this particular bag with the pocket. We did build a smaller version as a Christmas gift. It was a custom order that we had never done before, so I couldn't use the exact same pattern piece that I'd used on the smaller version. So I had to basically start over from scratch and figure out exactly how this is going together. So I'm just going to voice over most of this. This is a lot of nonsense in this area, but I figured I'd kind of just show you a fast-forwarded version of how I went about positioning and doing the layout, so you get the basic idea. If you're not interested, you could just fast-forward through this.
I think we'll do is run a little base stitch on here, on both of these panels.
Okay, so I ran a base stitch along the base of that pocket, and this is going to be my setup. Hard to see here, but there's about a 1/2 inch gap between the edge of my little jig here and where the end of the pocket piece goes, and consequently that's where the center of the strap is going to be. So what I want to do is position this pocket so once I lift up on this edge, this pocket piece goes parallel to my jig, and also a 1/2 inch on either side, which is going to create kind of a little pooch in the top of this pocket. That's going to be critical later on, because if we laid this flat and we went to go and wrap this around that round base, that pocket's going to be tight. So we need to design in the pocket being kind of pooched out a little bit, and when it's completed, it'll just have just a little tiny bit of be pooched out, just a little tiny bit, so you can still slip items in and out of there easily. Now, what I found on the last one, I made a miniature version of this for a Christmas gift, and what I found is the critical part here is to keep the top of the pocket parallel with the bottom and top, obviously, and trying to keep the pocket straight is the most difficult part here. So that's what I'm really going to be concerned about. Doesn't really matter where these go at this point, as long as there's some kind of pooch like this. What I want to make sure, though, is that the pocket remains straight with the bottom, top and bottom. So what I think I'm going to do is just put a little piece of double-sided tape on both of these, and then we'll lay the straps down, and then we can stitch down. Now on this one, I'm just going to run the bottom of the strap wild, and I'll make some adjustments in my pre-cut strap first. So I folded this over to a 4-inch mark, put a piece of double-sided tape, and I have a mark on my jig where I want this to land. So I have about 1.5 inches, 2 inches that I probably could just remove off of this. So this could be probably, we'll just say, yeah, so this says 15 times 4. We're going to make this 13 inches. So what I'm going to do is just lay a little bit of double-sided taping here just to help me hold it down. While I install the straps. And what I could do to make this a little easier, I should have done to begin with, is just take another 1/2 inch piece. That's what I'll do. We'll see how this works out. So this is a 1/2 inch spacer. So pocket goes up to there. I'll just stop short. So that's going to be where that pocket, I'll move this over to that point. Edge of that is. Now, that looks crooked, so if I flip this over, my 1/2 inch spacer back in here. Approximate mark. I'll make this edge of this pocket line up with that. Should have basted that on there first, probably. The liner and the pocket piece. Lay this one down, and then we'll go base this pocket piece on here on the sewing machine. And so it doesn't move. This strap configuration was borrowed from another crafter, Erica Lee, and this is a kind of a nod to her Moonwake. Kind of a minimalist version of her Moonwake as far as the straps go. So she owns a company in the same state I'm in, Washington, called Lavender and Twine. If you have a chance to go check out her stuff, sure she would appreciate that. I'm just going to scoot this over until that lines up a line I just made, keeping that pocket straight. The best that I can. Should have basted this all on here, the liner to the pocket itself, but that's okay. It'll work. Alright, so let's go back to the sewing machine and baste this on here on both sides and then move on. Eyeball that to make sure that pocket's staying relatively straight. I'll come up with a better jig for this as the pattern kind of gets developed. Perfected, rather. Faster to put it together instead of should wind up there just a little bit. By the time you put it around you make this bag round, it's going to be, you know, you just have a little bit of a kind of a relief, if you will. That's ready to be stitched together. Let's trim this off wild. This portion is going to be fitting underneath the base, like this one. This is our Nix bag, very similar, and that's how that detail will look. It's basically just going to be sandwiched right in between the base and the side of the bag, so that's how those straps will be continuous onto that side panel. This was done a little bit differently. This is actually 2 layers of strap, but we're not doing it that way on this one. And we'd be using those same connectors at the top. Has a little removable pin. I've reinforced the inside of this top of the leather strap with some nylon, and that'll be nice and strong there on these connections. All right, let's take this over to the top stitcher and we'll top stitch this in place. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my little square. This is probably about just over 3/8 of an inch. Just over 3/8 of an inch thick. And I'm going to use this as a little jig to figure out where I'm going to start and stop my stitch. I'm going to start here, no back stitching, and run it all the way down, and then we'll do the same thing. Start at the top, or maybe at the bottom, I don't know, we'll see, and go all the way down. And then we'll pull the thread at the top through the back and tie it off so there's no unsightly back stitching. After these are stitched up, then we'll go and embellish the strap with some double caps rivets, and we'll start putting this bag together. I'm just going to put some marks on here with this leather pin, and then it'll be removed once we're done sewing it up. And short of this bottom being trimmed off, this panel is essentially done. Okay, we're going to lay out all 4 of these straps for some double caps on here. I'm going to use antique brass on this bag, and I just have a jig here that I've made that'll give me the correct spacing that I want on the strap. These are the best, by the way. Clay's Cinnamon Candy. I dig it. All right.
Put this side too. The 9mm double cap.
So there it is, the embellished panel. Next thing we're going to do is sew up both of these panels inside out, turn them right sides out, and then, well, first I'll glue the seams down, and then we'll do the top stitching on the French seams. All right, we're going to take both these panels, put them right sides together, and we'll sew this bag together. All right, let's go prep these seams for glue.
I'm just going to bond this seam allowance down.
I always like to make sure this is open, and then start in the middle of the seam and kind of press it out. That way everything lays nice and flat. And if you buckle it somehow, you can just kind of peel it back up and start over again. So this French seam will be either the front or the back. I'll find the best side. This side has a little tiny blem right here, so I'll probably make this the back. So the next thing we're going to do is try to fire up our dual needle post and run a couple of seams on this guy. And then the next thing we'll do is install the badge, our nameplate, and then install or start prepping for the base installation. Realizing this isn't our double needle post, just having a little difficulty with that machine, so we're just going to go ahead and use the single needle post to wrap up the French seams on this one, and we're going to end this video with this process. So this will be the last of it. Thanks for hanging out with us and watching our videos. Be sure to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already done so, and we'll talk to you soon, and we'll see you on the next video. One down, one to go.